Hey, what's going on YouTube? HyperDark19 here. Sorry I've been so long in uploading a new video. It's just in the middle of a lot of work here at school, finals, and studying and whatnot. So, yeah. Anyway, new video. Starting a new segment called Battle Royale. It's pretty much a segment where I compare two cards, monsters, I would think mostly, but could be anything, that have like similar roles, I guess, in a deck or similar abilities that basically compete, in my opinion, for a spot in a deck or an extra deck. So, yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing. And today, the first cards up are these bad boys, Shooting Star Dragon and Red Nova Dragon. So, yeah, I'm going to compare these guys and in the end figure out which one of these is actually better to play. So, yeah. First up, let's just go down the list on these cards. Attribute. Shooting Star Dragon is of the Wind attribute, which gives it access to some support, but nothing that's really commonly played in the meta today. The only thing that comes to mind is Dark Simorgh, maybe. I don't know. And Red Nova, on the other hand, is Dark, which gives it a lot of support, actually, in my opinion, including, I guess, abuse with Dad, Dark Creator, anything that basically uses dark monsters. So Red Nova is better in that respect, I believe. As for level, Shooting Star right here is level 10, which makes it, I guess, a little bit easier possibly to synchro summon because you don't need as many monsters maybe. And also effects that use levels might have less effect on it, like Burden of the Mighty, for example. Um, on the other hand, Red Nova Dragon right here is level 12, which means you might have to put a little more work into summoning this guy. And also the summoning requirements come into play, but I'll get into that in just a minute. Type, I don't really need to say anything about that. Both of them are dragon type monsters, and synchros at that with effects, so no difference there really. It's same access to the dragon support, Stardust Shimmer, Red Eyes Darkest Metal, Hopeless Dragon, all that stuff. So pretty much the same in that respect. Alright, now we get down to the real interesting part. Summoning requirements. For Shooting Star, you need one Synchro Tuner and one Stardust Dragon, which means the only way to play it is to use Stardust Dragon and this guy, Formula Synchron, level 2 Synchro Tuner monster. Kind of puts a restriction on him in that you need specific monsters to summon him, and that not every deck can use those two monsters. Well, pretty much, like I said, every deck can pretty much use Stardust, and every deck should use Formula, but not a lot can. So, well, not a lot can, but some cannot. Yeah, and in that respect, Shooting Star may be a little bit more limited than Red Nova, which I'll get to in a second. However, using Formula Synchron makes this an Excel Synchro monster, which means, according to Formula's effect, you can Synchro Summon this guy on your opponent's turn, which gives you a surprise factor and maybe a little bit of an edge. So, yeah, possibly better. Red Nova, on the other hand, you need two tuners plus Red Dragon Archfiend. Now, Red Dragon Archfiend is level 8, and that means you need two other tuners that together, it's called double tuning, two other tuners that make up 4 stars combined. So, could be a little bit more difficult than the other one. Seeing as, for one thing, Red Dragon Archfiend is not a really commonly played synchro monster, which is a shame in my opinion because it's really good. But yeah, you also need two tuners, which maybe gives room for some wider variety of combo plays. Like one that comes to mind right away is you have Red Dragon Archfiend on the field. You got a level 1 tuner in your graveyard. Normal summon Junk Synchron, get that level 1 tuner back, and there's your 4. So bigger variety of decks can maybe use this guy, but also you have to play it on your turn, which kind of slows it down a little bit, and also to the fact that it may take more than one turn to play this guy, because first of all you have to summon Red Dragon Archfiend, which is a job in itself, and then you may have to wait till next turn to get the other two tuners. So a little bit slower on this guy maybe. Just saying. Alright, down to the effect parts. Now, let me consult my list here. Now, Shooting Star Dragon has a bunch of very interesting effects, 3 of them in total, which you can activate each of them once every single turn. So, first of all, it's got 3 effects, like I said. First of all, you can reveal the top 5 cards of your deck, and it gets an extra attack for every tuner monster that you reveal. So even if you don't hit a tuner monster, it lets you see what's coming up, which is sort of an advantage. And also, if you do get multiple attacks on a clear field, that gives you the possibility of OTK with this card. And multiple attacks anyway is a really impressive ability, especially on a monster this powerful. So that's really good. Two, you can, once per turn, you can, during your turn or your opponent's turn, you can negate the effect of a card that would destroy a monster or monsters on your side, on the field, and destroy that card, which protects not just himself, but all monsters you control. It stops Mirror Force, it stops Dark Hole, pretty much anything that involves destruction. And yeah, although you can only use it once per turn, it's still a very powerful ability to have. Also, you can remove it from play to negate the attack of one of your opponent's monsters. I honestly, this is an interesting ability, but I don't know how much someone would use this. But it can, once again, it can protect itself or others. So yeah, really versatile card right here. A lot of effects. Overall, more options to choose from when playing this card, but we'll get to that in a bit. Red Nova Dragon, on the other hand, only has, well, it has 3 effects too, but none of them can be activated on your opponent's turn per se. But all right, anyway, before I confuse you, Red Nova Dragon gains 500 attack for each tuner monster in your graveyard, which, coming from a monster that already has 3,500 attack, is amazing. Because if you consider it, theoretically, you'd have at least 3 tuner monsters in the graveyard when you play this guy. I mean, Red Dragon Archfiend takes 1, and then the 2 more to make this guy makes 3. So unless you use Monster Reborn or something like that, theoretically you already have 3 in the graveyard, which gives him 5,000 attack right off the bat. On a clear field, you can definitely OTK with this guy if you have enough tuners in the graveyard. And even if they don't, if they have a low enough attack monster, you can just run it over with this for game, depending on what your situation is. And yeah, so also, a very powerful effect, which is that it cannot be destroyed by card effects. Period. End of story. No effect of any card that destroys will affect this guy, which is great, and I think is a little bit better than Shooting Star's ability, because while it only protects him, I mean, come on, this guy's so powerful. Are you really going to need anything else on the field when you have him? And also, just the fact that he's safe from everything, which is awesome. It's not limited to the once per turn thing like Shooting Star is, so I think that gives him a little bit of an edge. And also, he has the same attack negation effect as Shooting Star. Once again, interesting effect, but I don't know who'd use it like really that often in a game. So overall, I think Red Nova Dragon has the edge a little bit when it comes to effects, just because of that. Also, Shooting Star has 3,300 attack and 2,500 defense, which 3,300 attack, that's pretty powerful. Breaks the rule of 3,000, which is like some of the most powerful monsters in the game. So can run over like 99% of the monsters out there right off the bat. And it's very unlikely that anybody's going to try and attack this thing, except if they have, like, if they're playing Blackwings, they use Collude. If they're playing Lights, they use Honest. So that could be a problem. But still, you have the attack negation effect to consider. And also, if this guy has changed to defense, though, with 2,500 defense, that could be a problem, maybe, because his effect can't stop position-changing effects, just destruction. And 2,500 defense, not necessarily the greatest defense in the world. I mean, it can protect him from a lot of things, but there's a lot of monsters out there, like Judgment Dragon, for example, to Dark Arm, that are over that and can kill this guy in battle if you do that. However, like I said, still have the attack negation to consider, so take that into account. Red Nova, on the other hand, has 3,500 attack and 3,000 defense right off the bat, which, in the position-changing aspect, 3,000 defense is not something a lot of monsters can run over as easily as Shooting Stars, so a little bit of an edge right there. And also the attack boosting ability means he's just going to get stronger as the game goes on, which means even less likely to be attacked than Shooting Star. So this guy, I think, once again, has a little bit of an edge when it comes to attack and defense scores. All right, on to any obvious weaknesses that either of these cards have. All right, both of them are vulnerable to effects that don't destroy, like bouncing, Bryonic, and Compulsory, for example, removing from play without destroying, aka deprison, and position-changing effects like enemy controller. Also, stealing effects like mind control are really bad when comboed with these guys, because, I mean, you work so hard to get these guys out and then they just steal it. What the heck, right? And also, Skill Drain and Effect Veiler, or other effect negating abilities, can hurt both these guys, but it hurts Shooting Star more because all three of his effects are activated effects, therefore you can't use any of them. Red Nova, I'm not sure about the ruling on this. I know his attack boosting effect will get negated, and so would his attack negating ability. But about the ability that means he can't be destroyed, I don't know. I'm pretty sure since it's a continuous effect that it can't be negated by cards like that, but I'm not sure about the ruling on that. So if I'm right, Red Nova has the advantage. If I'm not, then both of them are pretty much on the same playing field in regards to effect negation. So yeah, I'm not sure on that. So sorry about that. Also, Shooting Star, like I said, weakness on this card is destruction effect. Its destruction negation effect only works once per turn, so it's vulnerable to multiple destruction effects in the same turn. So if they use a torrential and then a dark hole or something like that, then this guy gets killed. So there is that. While Red Nova Dragon is safe from stuff like that, it can't protect other monsters like Shooting Star can. But still, like I said, this guy's so powerful. Do you really need anything else? Also, he has that attack negating ability if you really, really need it that bad. So I think Red Nova Dragon once again has kind of the advantage in regards to less weaknesses overall, other than restrictive summoning, but that's another story. Also, finally, the head-to-head between these guys, barring any other interruption of the battle by any other kind of card, just these guys going head-to-head, it's inconclusive really because both of them have the effect that they can remove themselves to negate an attack, so they would just remove themselves, negate the other's attack all day. So you have to have other cards to decide the battle against those guys. So just a head-to-head battle is inconclusive with these two cards due to that effect. Overall, I have to say the verdict, just because of versatility, ease of summoning for most decks, and a reliance on popularly played cards already, Shooting Star Dragon wins this one, unfortunately, because, like I said, many decks can rely on it. A lot of meta decks do use it. It's generally an easier to play card than Red Nova, which means more decks are going to use it. However, while Shooting Star does win this round for now, I am gonna say that if a deck comes along that can summon Red Nova Dragon consistently, like I have a friend who claims his friend's Drag Unity's deck can play this guy really quickly and efficiently. If a deck comes around that makes use of this guy like that, expect Red Nova Dragon to win this one because I personally like him more, and I think he's a better card overall. It's just that the summoning restrictions get him down a little bit in this case. Excuse me. So yeah, Shooting Star for now, but watch out for Red Nova Dragon in the future. All right, that's the segment. I really hope you liked it. Coming up like in the future, with this segment, I'd really need suggestions for cards that I can compare like this. So please feel free to throw your suggestions at me. And in the future, I'm going to put up new deck profiles, I promise, after I get home because, like I said, I don't have any of my cards with me. So I don't want to show you a deck full of proxy. It's not fair to me. It's not fair to you. And yeah, so once I get home in about a week, I'll have more deck profiles up. Battery Men, Beast Synchro, Flamvels, Macro Heroes, that's a fun one. Frog, Junk, and Debris is a relatively new creation. And my friend's Hopeless Dragon deck, which should be really interesting. So yeah, I will be back with you guys on videos like that. And yeah, I hope you like the segment. So comment, subscribe, whatever. I really could use some suggestions to further the segment. So yeah, peace out, YouTube.